Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction to read through for Kubera Season 3 episodes, the prologue, episodes 0 onward. Not sure how many I'll do or how long the video will be. I'm running late this week, so if you're seeing this, it's gonna be probably on Friday, but I'm thinking Kubera on Thursdays from now on. I'm going to attempt to do that if I need to take a break from it at any point, and usually if I do that, it's probably because I'm running behind on something else, or I need to get something else done, or just something came up in real life or something like that. But I'm gonna try to do Thursdays from now on, and we'll see how long the videos end up being. If I'm running behind like I am this week, it'll maybe only be like 30 minutes or so, maybe it'll be an hour, so it depends on when I can get myself to stop reading. If I'm not running behind, and, even if I am running behind, sometimes when I go to record videos, I just can't stop reading, and it ends up a lot longer than I first thought it would be. But either way, I guess before getting into Season 3, there's not really a ton to discuss. I'm just mostly going to go into Season 3 and then see where things go from there, how I feel from there. Really, I think it's going to take forever to catch up, not only because we're 400 some chapters behind, the series has been going on for so long, but also I feel like I just need to get back into Kubera. I feel like I'm really hoping that starting Season 3 grips me and motivates me to keep going, because honestly, really, I've been trying to get back to it for forever, and I've tried to record coming back to it and haven't been able to get through the intro so many times over the past however many months. Even yesterday and earlier this morning I tried to record, and I was like, I just can't even get through the intro. I really don't know what all to say about it. Like, I loved Season 1, I adored Season 1, I thought it was great, and then Season 2 was even better, even though really Season 1 and Season 2 don't necessarily feel like different seasons. Season 1 just flows straight into Season 2. It doesn't feel like there's a big, huge break between them narratively, but all of the time that we were in Calibloom, everything until we left Calibloom, that is like a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. It's incredible. I was loving every single video. But then since leaving Calibloom, everybody else really seemed to enjoy it. And I don't want to say that I was meh on it, because I think it was better than meh. I think it was, again, like 7 or 8 out of 10. But leaving Calibloom, everything after that, I don't know if it's just because of trying to make videos on it every single week, but I was a lot more whelmed with it than I was anything before then. Again, I loved Season 1, I loved the first part of Season 2, but then the second, like, half or whatever of Season 2, after leaving Calibloom, I just was mixed on it. There were some things I really liked and characters I was maybe interested in seeing more of, but then also things where I was like, I don't really like that, or things that I was just like, yeah, I'm just reading. Like, it's just, I'm just reading something. So for me, at the point I was at, I was honestly cool with being like, if I never read Season 3, I could be like, that was a fair enough story. That was good enough. Like, I could have maybe just ended at the end of Season 2, really, for me personally. But I'm hoping that starting Season 3, I will get back into it, and it will compel me to keep going. But yeah, the end of Season 2, I don't, again, know if it was just that the story wasn't as good, or if it was because I was, trying to push myself through the story so much, but that's how things ended up. And of course, after each chapter, I will still read the Afterword, the blog post. So either way, let's start with the prologue. And the prologues before were hinting at things that were to come, but Season 3 is so long, again, like 400 some chapters, that I feel like, could this really still be hinting at things that even you all have not seen? What meaning is there to saving them? A childish heroism? The desire to believe yourself righteous? Perhaps, just as always, you're simply being deceived. You run, fall, bleed, Countless times you are pierced, torn apart, eaten, and still you get back up and fight on without cease. You rescue those who drove you to your doom. You forgive the enemy who's ruined your life. And after all of that, what's left for you in the end? So this, forgive the enemy who's ruined your life and rescue those who drove you to your doom. Is she still going to, despite all of the terrible things, have some reason to side with Asha, even after everything? And after all of that, what's left for you in the end? The legend of a selfless hero who saved a world that had abandoned her. Perhaps that would have made it a little more worthwhile. But unfortunately, you will not be the one who's praised in the end. The honor and the renown will be someone else's to claim. And only you will know how hard you tried, how much it hurt, your body struggling to hold on, your heart ragged and torn to shreds, your memories full of only suffering, your soul reaped of its pride. Everything won with your name will be lost to you when you disappear from the world. And we see early Lee's. Season 3 begins. That was a really, really, really good little monologue. That was so good. And of course, hinting at things that are probably long to come. For those who don't... Oh gosh, hey Kurigam notice. For those who don't have the time to read through the first 280 episodes, here's a brief summary of the main characters in parts 1 and 2. They're drawn the way that they looked at the end of part 2, so they may look very different in part 3 since time has passed. I've purposefully written spoilers which may ruin the fun and lighter colors. Those who want to make their first read through more interesting should avoid reading the lightly colored parts. So... that's so funny. It's just, hey, you know, if you're just starting here, if you don't have 280 episodes. But for me, I personally, I mean, I guess when I was younger, you just see something on TV and jump in at whatever episode is on. But generally for things, I've never understood that. Like people with something long running like One Piece who just jump into it. And I'm like, why would you not start from the beginning? But we see Lee's highest, original name Kubera Lee's, a girl named after a god who became caught up in a massive fight. With her natural strength and excellent endurance, she prefers protecting others rather than being protected, and she never hesitates to put her own life on the line for the sake of others. After losing her hometown, she had a vague dream of getting revenge, and ended up trusting and following Asha, who said that she would help her get revenge. But Asha actually blocked Lee's from information about her hometown, and I feel like if you do skip over reading these and don't read the first 280 chapters, you would be so extremely confused, I'd assume. But Asha actually blocked Lee's from information about her hometown friends and used her revenge as bait to keep her by her side in order to keep her at a distance where she could kill her any time. Asha was also an enemy of Lee's deceased father. An enemy. At the end of part 2, she travels to another dimension along with Yuta in order to save Cossack. So I like this too because this also is the characters described from Kurigam's perspective, and it's one thing for like me to read seasons 1 and 2 and have my perspective on the characters as somebody who's read and again communicating with everybody else and the comments and everything and having everybody else's perspectives, but to see the author's perspective, like what does Kurigam think of the characters? What is Kurigam trying to get us to understand about them condensed into just like a few short paragraphs, really, is interesting to see. So, considering Asha as an enemy of Rao here is what we're supposed to get. And we have Asha Rahiro, big light-colored thing for Asha. She's a genius magician with everything from good looks and intelligence to magical abilities and even popularity. She appears to be acting as a guardian for Liz, who lost her home. Who is Liz? But because her natural magical abilities are actually terrible, she was devastated that she would not be able to become a powerful magician. So she accepted an oracle which she should not have done as a human being, and chose the path of a serial killer who murdered innocent people in order to gain power. At the end of part 2, she used the Hoti Vishnu spell in order to delay the revival of Ananta, and as a side effect of that, she ceased to exist. And we have Brilith Ruin, priestess of Atera, the city of fire, following in the footsteps of her mother, the legendary priestess. She considers it her destiny to devote herself to the city. Her lifespan is significantly decreased due to the god Agni being summoned, but having been on the brink of death, she clings to her friend Asha and survives. However, when Asha kills Saha at the end of part 2 and does something so shocking that Brilith cannot accept it, she loses sight of why she was brought back to life and becomes mentally unstable. At the end of part 2, when Asha ceases to exist due to the side effect of the spell, she also appears to return to normal. But, okay, that is a very suspicious but at the end. Also, I feel like Brilith was very front-loaded with her character. In early to mid season 1, really more early season 1, we got almost all of what we got for Brilith, and we really only got a little bit here and there after that. We have Agni, the god who commands all of the fire in the universe. Due to his righteous, honest personality, he hates any form of cruelty and even gives Shuras a chance, which makes him something of an outcast among the gods. He becomes stronger when he's angry, but that also causes a greater burden for Brilith, so he usually controls his emotions. Actually, he keeps Brilith, who's on the brink of death, by his side in spite of having one more person who could summon him. He once even defeated the god of death. At the end of part 2, he's disappointed with Gandharva, who attacks the city, and even attacks using another god's weapon in spite of the penalty. So, I'm not remembering. There's one more person who could summon Agni? There's another, triple fire that's that strong? I don't remember who that would be. And then we have God Kubera, the god who commands all the land in the universe. He saved Lisa's life. They're hitting us with Liz again several times and even given her god-level items and advice. But on the other hand, it's hard to tell whose side he's on since he destroyed her village using Gandharva and Marana and attacked several cities using Sagara. He caused the death of Ananta, who was the most powerful Shura, and he regrets this, so he seems to want to atone for it, but he's not very active in doing so. The closer his plan gets to completion, the more he seems to hope that Sagara will stop. At the end of part 2, he disappeared during the process of reviving Ananta. Now we have Gandharva, the king of the and this is the form of Gandharva I guess we should be getting used to when we see him next. Well, I guess they said it's everybody at the end of Season 2, so Gandharva might look different again. I don't know, we've seen a bunch of different Gandharva looks already. The king of the Gandharva is one of the 8 Shura clans. He's lost the power that he once had during his prime, but he still possesses power that should not be taken lightly. He was cooperating in something against his will in order to recover his lost daughter, but Sagara tells him that his daughter's already dead. At first Gandharva ignored what she said, but after the death of Teo, that's when he realized that his daughter was really dead. Ultimately, he lost both his reason for fighting and living. At the end of part 2, he gives in to Marana's persuasion and cooperates in the attack on the city, and as a result he becomes a target of the gods and ends up hiding among the humans along with Marana. Okay, so he will be with farmhand Maruna. And now we have Sagara. The third queen of the Ananta is one of the 8 Shura clans. Many of her fellow clan members did not accept her as leader, since she didn't become queen based on her power. She'll do anything to achieve her goals, and she's even willing to cooperate with the enemy. She had a deep affection for Ananta, the first king of the Anantas, and tries to bring him back from the dead. Agni warns her that this will endanger the universe, but Sagara does not listen to him. At the end of part 2, from the way Marana can't recognize her existence, she appears to disappear with Asha due to the side effect of Hoti Vishnu. Okay, they've used Liz a couple times. Earlier on, they said Liz, right? Am I crazy? I'll have to go back up. Oh, before I go to Marana, in fact, I'll go back up. They totally said Liz. Yeah, Liz highest. Okay. Did different people translate different boxes? That's so weird. That's so strange. Okay. Like the Asha thing is just easy typo to make. You should probably look back over it to not make the typo, but easy typo to make. And then Marna, a superior Shura of the Garuda clan, one of the 8 Shura clans. He thinks of the humans as insects and kills them without hesitation, but he's tolerant toward half-bloods, people with 50% mix of human and Shura blood. He is looking for his missing siblings. Actually, the reason he's searching for his siblings is not for the sake of reuniting his family, but rather in order to awaken his father who's in a coma. It would be nice if bringing back his siblings alone were enough to awaken his father, but if that doesn't work... At the end of Part 2, he attacks the city in order to save Samphati, his fellow Shura, and as a result he becomes a target of the gods and ends up hiding among the humans along with Gantarva. Then Yura, the half-brother of Marna. He encountered Lise while he was searching for the Sword of Return in order to get to Shura City. The Shura world, I'm assuming, but I think... Is Shura City just like... is it an actual thing? Is it a real way to call the Shura world? Is that something that you could just be... What's the word I'm thinking of? Interchangeable? Is like Shura City and Shura world just interchangeable? Like they mean the same things, but city isn't necessarily wrong. But he's trying to get back to the Shura world, and takes a special liking to her since she always protects him selflessly. But Marna is the one who destroyed Lisa's hometown, and Marna tried to kill Lise and... Hold on, they just said Lise and now Liz! And Marna tried to kill Lise in order to take Yuta with him, and Yuta develops to his next stage while standing up to his older brother, but it becomes difficult to control his appetite after developing, and he ends up harming Lise. Ultimately, he tries to leave Lise aside, but at the end of Part 2, he travels to another dimension with Lise in order to save Cossack. Now we have Aran Syrafay, born to the well-known Syrafay... Again, in Korean, like, there is no difference between F and P, but how is this happening? Or did they just use Google Translate? They had to, right? Because if a real person was doing it, whether that person was like native English speaker or native Korean speaker, they would totally translate Syrafay the same both times, right? This has to be like a Google Translate type thing. And this is like pre-AI translation, which is bad on its own. I have totally seen some things that were translated by AI, like just small passages of text and stuff, where the AI completely schizoed out and just said whatever, like not even properly translating whatever. So it was before that. This is like way back in 2017, maybe season 3 started, something like that. But this has to be like Google Translate or something, because that would make a mistake where it would be inconsistent. But I feel like a person, whether the person was great at English or not, would be consistent with that. Ron Syrafay, born to the well-known Syrafay family of magicians. He has everything from money, connections, and magical abilities to remarkable fighting abilities. However, he's restricted in his social life by fear of half-bloods. He only looks half of his real age because he's a quarter-blood, a person with 25% human and Shura blood. I think they should just say a human with 25% Shura blood would be something like 25% human, 25% Shura. Where's the other 50%? But I think they should say a human with 25% Shura blood. That would be the thing that makes most sense. But I don't think that, again, this is pre-AI unless they switched over the translations. But even AI, even if it did get things totally wrong, would probably, at least in the modern day, be consistent between how it got things wrong, maybe. But with it being and a human would be consistent, like when it's a name right beside itself like that. So it has to be not human, but also pre-AI. So this has to be like Google Translate, straight up. It has to be. He's the grandson of Hanuman, the third king of the Yaksha, which are one of the 8 Shura clans. He has the ability to temporarily become stronger at the expense of his own lifespan. He was close to Rao, Lisa's father, and after finding out that Lisa is Rao's daughter, he tries to do even more for her, although he'd always been good to her. At the end of Part 2, his crush, which turned out to be mutual love the whole time, on on Rana turns into a relationship. This is just a brief summary of the main characters. There are a lot more episodes and supporting characters than this, so please check part 1 and 2 for yourself. It doesn't cost anything, all of the other episodes are online. You can read them all with just a click. Try reading the entire series before starting part 3. Okay, a very neat prologue. I actually had so much fun with those character intros. Again, seeing what Kurigam thinks of the characters, I think is so fun. So I had a lot of fun with that, and I think before that, the actual prologue that's hinting at things for the future and all of that, I think that was really good. The little speech that was given was very good, and also much like the last 2 times, though I guess less than the last 2 times. The last 2 times were, like, there were a lot of panels of scenes yet to come. Very few this time. Like, it looked like it could have all been one scene, but maybe like 2 to 4 scenes at the most. But that, again, is probably because Season 3 is so long. There is a lot that's going to happen. So either way, before starting to read or anything, I guess let's go check out the Afterword or the blog post. I don't know which I should call it. I think Afterword is more correct. Okay, so for the Afterword, I zoomed in a bunch, so hopefully it's pretty easy for you all to see and follow along. And this is, much like the chapter itself apparently, Google translated. There is a translation available on the wiki, so I will go to that if I need to, but that translation, I don't think it's there for every single chapter, and also it doesn't include the images, so for me, I will stick with this for now at least. But either way, Afterword for this, Kubera Part 3 is finally begun. As previously announced, we'll no longer be providing previews, and we haven't separated the titles either since you mentioned it was inconvenient when reading through the whole series. There were people who wanted me to post a large image of Liz from the web... Again, Liz returns! From the webtoon thumbnail on the blog, and Liz from the thumbnail appears in large size in the next episode. I'm sure quite a few of you were hoping for a preview, featuring all 10 main characters just like the Part 2 trailer. We initially planned the storyboard that way, but cancelled it and changed it to focus on Liz, as for which character says those lines to Liz. The reason the initial storyboard was cancelled was that revealing all the Part 3 character appearances in the trailer would spoil the excitement. I think that's really cool. That's a good decision. Because I kind of want to be surprised when they show back up and all. Especially, I don't know how quickly we'll get back to them, especially if it's a while. Yeah, I think that's a good call. There's almost no change in the characters' looks between parts 1 and 2, but that's not the case for part 3. Imagining their transformed appearances is also part of the fun of part 3, and we couldn't take that away. I really like that. It may look like nothing special, but this trailer's undergone quite a bit of editing. In parts 1 and 2, scenes were often glossed over by pushing them out of the frame, obscuring them with surrounding objects, or simplifying them to black and white. And there were quite a few such scenes in part 3. Please keep in mind that these are scenes that will appear almost daily to Liz, and that excessive damage will continue to be intentionally obscured or distorted in the future. Okay, so there were things... Are they talking about, like, censorship of violent things? I guess that's what... Yeah, I guess that's what this means. Like, in parts 1 and 2, there were certain scenes where really brutal or gory things would happen, but they were just kind of out of frame or obscured, things like that. And that's going to happen a lot more to Liz. There's a lot of excessive damage that'll happen. Almost daily is so sad. But they will be, again, intentionally, not really censored, but just, like, Kubera is not trying to be that series. It's not trying to be super graphic. But it does want to have the serious things happening in the story. For readers encountering Kubera for the first time through part 3 without having read parts 1 and 2, the sheer volume must seem daunting to binge read. You saying that after 280 is insane, given that now it's nearing 700 probably. However, it's not a story you can simply watch without knowing the previous plot at all. After much deliberation, I decided to include the previous storylines below the previews. I initially started writing them in chronological order, accompanied by webtoon scenes, but before I could even finish organizing the Part 1 story, it exceeded 100,000 pixels. I thought I'd get bored reading the previous synopsis at this rate. In the end, I decided to leave out everything else and simply summarize the 10 main characters, combining it with character introductions. I considered including introductions for prominent supporting characters like Cossack, but I figured some people might ask, you covered Cossack, why not so-and-so? It's really hard to draw the line regarding the importance of supporting characters, so I just decided to stick to the 10 mains. If you want to know the plot in more detail, please just binge read it. And that's something else, talking about characters. I had wanted to do another character ranking between... Sorry, I just noticed in the corner of the screen the Empathy 533. I love the translation of that too. Empathy. So I had wanted to do another character ranking between seasons 2 and 3, but I just could not decide how I feel about all of the characters right now where we left off. So I was like, I really don't, especially like after my last ranking, I feel like I was pretty solid on how I felt. But then where we left off, like with everything going on with all the characters and everything we learned about all the characters, I just didn't know how I didn't know how I felt well enough to rank them at this point. Because there's some characters where it's like, it's really hard to decide how I stand on them, because there were some things toward the end that I might not have liked that much about them, but then there are also all of the things I love about them. So there are some that I'm torn on, that it's like, depending on what I'm talking about in regards to the character, they could be D tier, I don't like this person in this aspect, but I do like this person in other aspects. I'm just so torn on so many of them. But as previously announced, Find the Curry Bear event is close simultaneously. Dark Kurigam is a possibility that I could miss. Oh gosh, I'm going to miss so many. I never find any of them, I feel like. Since there are far more participants and Kurigam than in part 1, it'll take some time to verify emails and select the winners. We plan to send individual emails along with an announcement as soon as the winners are confirmed. And lastly, the Kurigam blog appreciation event has been extended and will run to May 31st. Actually, this event should have been held right after Kubera part 2 ended, but I posted it too late. It was so unfortunate that those who have been consistently leaving comments missed out on the prizes because they didn't see the announcement. So I've extended the period, and I'm letting you know one last time, the prizes that were previously undecided have now all been confirmed, so please check them out. And then there's the event notice. Okay, so it's likes here, but if I scroll up, it's empathy. 533. Alright, I thought that all of this was really, really fun. I like seeing more from Kurigam. This is really just 30 minutes of Kurigam explanation before getting into the actual series. And I don't want to leave you just on a prologue like this. I could really be like, it's nearly 30 minutes and stop here, since I said it was going to be kind of shorter, since I'm already like basically a day behind. But I'm going to read chapters 1 and 2, at least. If they're really, really short, I'll try to do more. If they're really, really long, maybe I'll need to reconsider and only do 1. But I'm going to try to do 1 and 2, just because it would feel bad leaving you with just the prologue. So let's start season 3 actually, properly now. Starting episode 1. There was a time when I tried not to wake up from a dream. I knew it was a dream, and yet I told them to stay by my side. I held on to them. I laughed like a fool, and said to take me with them. Said not to leave me alone. I told them not to abandon me in the world outside my eyelids. And we have Ashura coming in, getting cut through. So Lise definitely does look a bit older now. We don't know how long it's been, but hey, she survived to be a bit older. Part 3, Episode 1, The Return, Part 1. And now, assuming this is the other dimension, or Shura world, or wherever. Okay. If anything appears, kill it as quickly as possible. You'll die if you let them open their eyes. I guess then being, Taraka Shura. And from what was cut comes this tentacle monster, essentially. There are too many of them following me for me to face them without using transcendentals. I have no choice. I just have to hope that I survive this one more time. Be careful when using transcendental skills. The more power that you draw from your sword, the deeper your debt becomes. Okay. That is an interesting statement. And now dealing with all of these. And a crack forms in the Golden Knight. Don't forget what they want, is to bring down your name. Ah, Cossack. And then Cossack takes one out. What a relief, you escaped safely. I thought something might have happened to you since you were so late. Hurry up and get on. There's no time. What about Yuta? He's not dead. He was definitely alive when I last checked on him. You didn't make it out together? Then let's go. We have to save Yuta before it's too late. No, we're not going back from here. What? There isn't much time left before the gate closes. We won't make it through this gate if we go to take him with us. What are you talking about? Yuta comes first. We can pass through the gate next time. You want to wait for the next gate when we're being attacked like this? You've sure gotten cocky now that you're using that sword. Don't you think you're overestimating yourself? Of course I know that it'll be tough, but we can't leave without Yuta. It's not right. He has a higher chance of surviving than you or me. If he's lucky, he'll come through the next gate. How can you say something so irresponsible? Cossack, Yuta came all the way here just to save you. He risked his own life for your sake. That's right. He came here for my sake, and he stayed behind for yours. He's reached his limit now. Don't think that going back now would do him any good. And then, I don't love you. I decided not to love you. So I want you to leave me. Don't look back. Don't feel guilty. Just keep looking ahead. Before I bite off that tongue of yours for saying that you feel sorry for me. For me and you, going through this gate would be better. No matter how dangerous it may be over there, it'll still be better than here. And if we don't go now... Alright, let's go through this gate. I also think whatever's going on with Yuta definitely has to be related to the Taraka stuff. So, I feel like this is something that either he will be able to handle, or it is a setback that we need to have story-wise, where he just becomes like full Taraka-ish or whatever and needs to be brought back. But it also is better because, unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure a part of saving Cossack and everything is when they get back with Cossack. Even though everybody else has lost their memories, or like most everybody else has lost their memories, Cossack and Lise will still remember. So Lise can at least have Cossack that has her back and can help her. I thought you'd be more stubborn than that. Didn't you say there's no time? Hurry up, isn't that the gate over there? That's right, it is. I'll block the ones that get in our way, so save your energy and go without using any transcendental skills. There's no telling what things are like over there if you waste your energy here. There you go, getting all nosy again. I can worry about my own energy. So, just stay low and try not to get too cocky. Kubera Season 3, Fragments, Chapter 35, The Return, to be continued. Okay, very cool. I like this a lot. We're coming straight back. Kind of like there is a time skip, but it's also where we left off. And we're getting our first looks at post-time skip Yuta, Lise, and Cossack. But we don't know how much time it's been, really. Lise definitely looks older. Yuta, I think it might just be a change in the art style a little bit. Even though Yuta had already kind of gotten older looking. I feel like Yuta looks even a little bit older now. I don't think Yuta's gone up another stage off screen or anything. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't think so, though. I don't think Yuta's gone up another stage off screen. It is possible, but it might just be, art style changing, art style getting a bit more detailed. But Yuta also looked a little bit older to me. But either way, we have Chapter 35, The Return. That was really cool. That was fun. So this is kind of on the shorter side. I might be able to do more than just Chapters 1 and 2. I might be able to get away with doing a bit more. Either way, though, let's go read the blog post and see what Kurigama had to say about this one. This one says, immediately after the Kubera Part 3 trailer was released, some of you saw the Kubera banner on the PC Webtoon homepage and wondered what scene it depicted. It's coming out just a week later. It's Episode 1 of Part 3. The illustration from Part 3 Episode 1 was used for both the thumbnail and the banner. Lee's featured in Kubera Part 3 thumbnail. I did think the art here looked like... I've always liked the style. I've liked the way Kubera's art looks. This does look like a step up in detail, but I'm fine even if the level of detail doesn't necessarily improve that much or doesn't necessarily get that more detailed or can't be maintained. Like if it's a little bit less detailed in the art department, I don't really mind because I like the style. I like the way it looks, and I think when something has a style, then it just helps. I think that going for something that looks super detailed or super quote-unquote realistic, I mean, that's not really what you do in webtoons anyway, but it ends up aging less well than something that you just put stylization into. So, video games, I think, are the biggest example of it, of things that are chasing realism look really, really aged really quickly. Usually, I mean, things have gotten to the point where that doesn't even really happen that much anymore. But things that go for a specific art style still look great even decades later. But also, I feel like I like the art, but the strength of Kubera is in the writing. Then we have Lee's featured on the Kubera Part 3 banner. If you haven't read Part 3 Episode 1 yet, please read the webtoon first. Actually, as we started Part 3, I thought a lot about using Lee's for all the thumbnails and banners. You probably don't understand why I hesitated right now, but you'll understand once Part 3 progresses a bit further. The protagonist grown stronger with the passage of time, however. Lee's in Kubera Part 3 starts with superhuman abilities from the very beginning, but she also clearly shows signs of trouble right from the start. Even while using a transcendental skill, she contemplates, please hold out just for this one more time. What on earth is she asking him to hold out for? You told me not to hate Lee's too much, but from my perspective, every character is like a child to me, so I simply can't bring myself to hate them. Especially with Lee's, I feel even more sorry for her every time I look at the upcoming story. So I'm trying my best to draw her even more beautifully or coolly because of that. Otherwise, I feel like she'll appear in my dreams holding the sword of regression. Do you like character dreams? I don't. At least not as a Kubera character. And then from the first appearance in Part 3, it's mealtime. Many people were worried about Mr. Cossack, but fortunately he's alive and well. Did you notice that the way Lee's addresses him has changed? It used to be Cossack Nim, but now it's become Cossack Shi. In Part 2, Lee steadfastly called him Cossack-nim, even while everyone else did. So when exactly did that happen, and what triggered it? Of course, I only pose questions, I do not provide answers. After all, speculation is for your enjoyment. Okay, so this is making it seem like however long it's been, I mean, she does look like she's aged a bit, however long it's been, she has spent some more time with Cossack. Okay. Really cool stuff. Again, I like all of the extra details because we get the English translation. Things like Nim and Chi wouldn't be something that we get without Kurigama bringing it up. So really, really good stuff. And let's go read episode 2. It's hot. This place feels even hotter than Misty Shore. I want to get this over with quickly and go home. We have rumbling. It's worth 100 gold coins, so let's just give a lick and promise, or let's just give a lick and a promise and then head back. And we see this crescent-shaped island. Some sort of Shura. Did the guy who requested this make a mistake? How are we supposed to beat this thing for just 100 gold coins? That's because we're allowed to keep the body. It's difficult to classify its species, so it'll sell for a lot as a test subject. I know, but we have to also think of the cost of our own lives when we accept this kind of work. What's a measly 100 gold coins? Well, the cost of our lives is 0 to that client. Ron, what have you been doing? Sorry, my brother totally ruined this thing. Okay, and the bow has been improved. But 100 gold coins is really unfair. Even my daughter gets more allowance than that. Okay, so we've had enough time. I'm getting goosebumps. We've had enough time pass that Ron is now a parent. And he fires off an arrow, and it blows completely through the thing. Well, now you don't get to keep the body, Ron. So now you don't get to keep the body because you blew it away, and you only get 100 gold coins. Also, 100 gold coins was kind of a lot, wasn't it? Like, thinking back to how much things were, where you had however many Rarv was in a silver, and then however many silver was in a gold, 100 gold was kind of a lot. I mean, Ron is rich, so I guess his daughter getting allowance more than that would be, okay, that would make a bit of sense. But I feel like that was kind of a lot. So if it's considered low, is it considered low because this is super dangerous and Ron is really rich? Or is it considered low because we've had a lot of Kubera inflation going on? The Return Part 2. And now we see Misty Shore University. 4th Water Festival. In the scorching heat, we're going to Waterway. Then, isn't that Professor Rana? And I guess, should I continue with Rana? Because Ron and Rana, or Ron and Lana? That way it sounds a little bit different in English. Isn't that Professor Rana? Is she taking on a seasonal class? Amazing. How many kids does she have? And she still looks like she's in her 20s. Jeez. What a way to word it. The art style change is really interesting. You can definitely tell. It must be hard to keep up her appearance like that. Keep up? No, that's not it. Haven't you heard the rumors? Under her hat. Now we have Divine Magic Academy Complex A. Rana Ramia. This has to be Google translated. There is no way that a human being went from Lana to Rana here. Rana Ramia. I haven't retired yet. I may have a lot of free time, but I'm still the dean. Don't you think it's unfair to come and ask me to look after your kids? You don't like leaving them with strangers. Or you don't like me leaving them with strangers. Well, I leave them with strangers. They have you. Aline. Someone must have complained again about you using your maternity leave several times in a row. That's not why. I just want to work. Do you know how many years I've been stuck at home just looking after kids? I've almost forgotten that I used to be a professor. I tried my best to find someone among our family who could help, but I don't have anyone, and Ron's parents are gone. Sure, all right. If you want to work, I understand. That's why I'm still working now. Thank you for understanding, Aline. Then I'll bring Remy here every morning and let me finish. I can't look after your kids. Just so you know, the sound that I hate the most is the sound of a baby crying. So, ask Ron instead of me. What? If Ron agrees to act as a priest, Huan will give up his position immediately. You want me to stay at home and watch the kids? Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. Then you can work as a professor, Ron will stay at the temple, and Huan can retire and look after your kids. But Ron gave up his job as a priest long ago. He said that he can't stand it. Then you'll have to persuade him. How much longer are you going to let someone so well suited to the water attribute barriers just wander around like that? Even Claude, who was insulted so much before, has now come to his senses and is working in the temple. Once he finishes the task that he's currently performing and returns, find a way to make him accept a position as priest. That would smoothly solve your childcare problem, as well as increasing power in Misty Shore. And we see more of the beach. Ah, this is great. I'm finally living in Misty Shore like I always dreamed. It sure took a while to get here. I'd originally planned to live here 7 years ago. I didn't like living in a Terra. So, is this going to be Agwen then? At least, I hope I'm not getting her name wrong. Because if we're coming back with Cossack, it would make sense to see her. And she was in a Terra. And so I guess now, instead of traveling around with Cossack like when we first met her, she's maybe with Shess? Because Shess was usually like this with a hoodie up and everything, right? You didn't like living in a Terra? Of course not. Of course not. I mean, maybe when I still had a dream of becoming the Priestess of Fire. Maybe that was the other person who could do the summoning. Okay. But not now. After working as a priestess, I realized being a professor's way better. Is it okay for you to not stay in a Terra? It's fine. The head of the Sorcerers' Union has changed, and there are a lot of priestess candidates. I'm just a bit worried about Brilith. If she doesn't have me there to introduce someone to her. Aren't you interested in having a relationship, Agwen? Huh? Where'd that come from? Sorry, it's just, you don't seem like you're in a position to worry about other people. Since we were in a Terra until now, I've never seen you in a relationship. I think this is interesting. Maybe things have become more normal with the Shura that are staying in the human world, because we have this technology now where it seems like he's writing down and then the tablet is text-to-speeching for him. And then, well, if I just meet a nice person, I'd be happy to date and even get married, since now I don't have my dad around to kill my boyfriend. And we see a ball coming in. Lenny. Your name's Lenny? Is that it? Yeah, since I don't know my last name. Hey, Khan. We should just use our first names too. Sure, Ten. Let's just use our first name. Is this going to be Ron's kids? Like we heard Remy mentioned before, maybe that's like a baby and then we have twins, Khan and Ten. Then let's just use our first name. I'm Ten. I'm Khan. Yeah, they look just like Ron. And so we have a little bit of an older Lenny too. We look exactly the same. No one would know if we switch our name, or no one would even know if we switch our names around. That's right, Khan 10. It was nice meeting you today. If I see you again in Misty Shore... She stops. And there's a massive wave coming in. And everyone's screaming and running. That's an unnatural wave, judging from the way that it's blocked by the barrier. Shess, take Lenny and... He's already gone. Shess. And we see the two of them. And she has cute little hoof feet. I don't know if we saw it in that much detail before or if I just don't remember. But that's adorable. Wait, there are other kids too. And he looks back to the waves. To be continued. That was really cool. I love getting... I'm going to have so much fun getting to see every character post-timeskip. This is going to be a really fun part of the story for me. And like some of the characters we've seen, because like I feel like Shess and Lenny and Rana, like they got to do a little bit, but they weren't like big players or anything for the most part. So it is cool seeing them, but it makes me even more excited to see more of the characters that we spent a lot more time with post-timeskip. That was so good, though. I love that chapter. That was so good. I like it a lot. Okay, so let's continue on to the blog post, actually. Blog post says, this is Planet Willarth, where a considerable amount of time has passed. The specific date will eventually be mentioned as you read on. But if you want to know the exact year and month right now, please take a close look at Part 3, Episode 2. The date's written somewhere. I wonder if I can find it, but I also don't want to be spoiled. Both things are true. I kind of want to see if I can find it, but I also kind of don't want to be spoiled. Also, this seems like the kind of chapter where there was probably a hidden Kurigam that I couldn't find. Like on the beach or something, because we had so many shots of the beach and random people in the background. If you haven't read Kubera Part 3, Episode 2 yet, please read the webtoon first. Misty Shore with some tall buildings. If you've watched Part 1 of Kubera, you're likely aware that Misty Shore is a hot city. And Rana is just a normal human, yeah? So even if Rana, like, it has to be probably less than 20 years. Because even if she still looks like she's in her 20s, Rana probably isn't in her 50s here. Like, she's 40s at the oldest. So it's less than 20 years at least. Gotta be. Then you're likely aware that Misty Shore is a hot city. You can assume most characters wearing clothes that look extremely hot here are carrying items for regulating body temperatures like Asha in Part 1. Of course, there were some who managed to endure it without such items. And let's not be surprised again by the fact that he writes with his left hand. This is an upgraded version of the item briefly shown in Chapter 136 of Kubera Part 2. It's an item that outputs text in a set voice when you write. Back then it was a test version, so it only output a female voice, but now you can set the voice. Okay, I had totally forgot we had already seen it. Oh, Shess's pink tracksuit hasn't disappeared. He's just wearing it like that because it's a beach. Now, the person on the right is 1 year older than the one on the left. The mystery of a quarter. Hold on. Real? I didn't think... Wait. How is Rana a quarter? Rana's not a quarter, right? Maybe does she just age as a quarter now because of... There was some kind of item at the end of Season 2? Because before, there was the issue with Ron thinking that, oh, we'll age, and like Rana as well, thinking, oh, I'll age at a different rate than you, and all of that. Because of, so maybe it has been more long than I think. Because Ron's only a quarter, so for her to age at a different rate, she'd have to be a regular human. So I guess maybe she now just ages as a quarter because she did go through with whatever the thing was at the end of Season 2. I don't remember the detail 100%. Then Elaine. So I guess the Aline that we saw was supposed to be Elaine, was an old woman in Parts 1 and 2, but she's even more of an old woman in Part 3. Ouch! On the other hand, Agwin, Agwin's lover was mentioned very briefly in Chapter 60 of Part 1. Since then, she's been single ever since. Then, Juan. So, Huan, I guess Juan Sairfe, who likes the limited edition doll clothes. The Water Priestess has been sticking to animal costumes since Part 1. As I've said before, there are animals in Willarv, not humans or Asheras, but just animals. So people eat chicken, birds fly by, give fruit to rabbits, and curry-colored bears walk by. Juan's outfit is also being made based on animals that exist in Willarv. For reference, though Juan is currently the priestess, if you consider their specs before the Great Cataclysm, Elaine is overwhelmingly superior. Back in the days when she could freely wield Vishnu magic, Elaine was the priestess of resurrection and the strongest user of Vishnu magic. What could be the reason she chose to grow old alongside Juan, even giving up anti-aging items? Okay, neat. Okay. I like doing the blog post. I feel like it does give me a lot more context and things to think about. And I probably should end here, but I don't know if I want to continue. How many more parts? Let me check. How many more parts is The Return? Like, I don't want to spoil myself or anything. Okay, 3 more parts. I'm trying not to look at thumbnails, trying to look away. Let me just go back over to this. Okay, since it's 3 more parts, and since we're already, like, at an hour, probably? Close to an hour? I've been recording for a while. I'm going to end here. And then next week, again, I'm going to try to do things every Thursday. Next week, again, depending on how long the chapters are, we'll do at least 3, if not upwards of 6. Like, if they're as, brief as the 2 we did here, Sorry, we just spent a lot of time on the prologue, a lot of time on the intro. If they're kind of on the shorter side, we could do 5 or 6 chapters. We'll see how things go, though. But yeah, just 30 minutes to an hour, maybe a bit longer than an hour. It depends on when I can get myself to stop reading. Every Thursday is the plan. I'm just running a bit behind this week, so you're seeing it on Friday instead. And also, since I am running behind and you're not seeing this until like Friday, I was thinking I would keep this one kind of short, but here I am at like an hour and I still want to keep going. I had a lot of fun. The most exciting thing is seeing characters now post-time skip. Sadly, some of the characters I'm most excited to see post-time skip, even with however long it's been, and please don't spoil me on how long the time skip has been. Yeah, please don't spoil me. I would go back and look through the chapter again, but I actually don't want to know. I don't want to be spoiled on how long it was. I want the story to, like, tell it to me or whatever. Even though technically finding the date would be the story telling it to me, but I want to wait. I want to hold off. I want to wait. And if it doesn't tell it anytime soon, then maybe I'll go back and look at the actual date. But with the way that Kubera is usually written, we're probably getting an actual date at some point. Dates are thrown around a lot in Kubera. So I cannot wait to see some characters, but sadly, some of the ones I'm most excited to see, they don't really age that much. They're like halves or Shura, and maybe we'll just get, updates to their character designs, so they'll look really cool with the updated character designs, some new outfits and stuff maybe, but I don't expect them to have changed as much, sadly. But I'm excited to see others. I want to see what was going on there at the end with what Huda was doing with, like, Clofe and Cloche, where Huda, like, took them away or whatever. And I think held Clofe hostage to get Cloche to follow. Like, I want to see what's going on with all of that. And again, more of like the haves and shuras and gods or characters I'm thinking of that I want to see more of. So that doesn't really help with, like, maybe they'll get cool new designs though. I want to see some more post-time skip designs. Agwen's post-time skip design looks great. It was cool seeing Shess and Lenny because they were characters we haven't spent much time with. We have Remy mentioned, who is probably a baby from the way that things are mentioned. And then Khan and Ren, who are more of Ron and Rana's kids. And then it's going to be neat when Lise comes back. And when Cossack comes back, how are Lise and Cossack going to deal with, like, how the world has moved on while they've been gone? I mean, already Yuta didn't have too many connections going on in the world, but it'll be very interesting from the perspective of Cossack and Lise. So, especially Lise being the main character. But either way, I'll end things here. Thank you for watching. Like, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of these chapters, my first thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more Kubera, much more on the channel. Like I said, it'll probably take forever to catch up. It's 400 some chapters, and I don't know how many I'll do every single week, but we will be doing things on Thursday from now on. At least for right now. Don't know if the day will change in the future, but at least for right now, it's probably just going to stick to Thursdays. If you want to help support the channel by sharing around or dropping a super thanks, it is really appreciated. If you want to help support the channel by becoming a member or patron, hit join down below to become a member. Go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who are already members and patrons. Thank you to chosen regulars Evan Holly and Bertie Wooster, Magical Girls, Dee Ban and Maru, Cheriton Student, David Langstaff, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element Pater Real. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for being here, for watching. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time.